Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fantasy Football IRL post-draft video cast. I'm here with my buddy, the A2LM, Christopher Osborne. How are you, sir?
How's it going, everybody? Doing good, doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well. Looking sharp, man. Looking
Oh,
sharp.
thanks. I figured I'd put on a show for the folks today.
All right. So what we're going to do today, break things down. I'm going to walk you through Fantasy Pros, my favorite site, the sponsor for this and every video that we ever put up.
Absolutely.
Uh,
It's gonna be really awkward if we do get sponsored by somebody else.
yeah, no, I'm definitely going to have to put up a fight. Uh, anyway, so we're going to roll through what they have for us. We're going to break down the divisions. Osborne's going to go first. I'll cover my division second, and then he'll cover another division third. So, you have anything to add to that?
No, I figured we'd also at the end discuss the overall rankings of the divisions in a power ranking, so to speak. I was doing a little bit of thinking about that. I'm sure you have some thoughts as well.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
So to start off, we've got my division, the best division, obviously, being in AFC South, full of juggernauts here. We're going to start off with my team. It's an easy one. Um, Overall, I definitely am happy with the fact that I got David Johnson the first pick. He's the highest rated player um, this year. And then I also got Rob Gronkowski in the third. Those are the picks that I'm pretty happy with. Gronk can turn an entire season around if he stays healthy the whole year. But there were some things that I definitely was disappointed in. Getting Amir Abdullah with my second pick or my second running back spot is very weak. That's going to really hurt if he goes down or doesn't live up to the hype this year. And having Tyreek Hill as my second best wide receiver is a little concerning because the Andy Reid offenses are always unique. Someone is a beast, and someone is left in the cold every year. Overall, happy with the team. Put myself as second in the division and mid tier in the league as a whole. Um, you might have the stats if you want to put them up. You can. I don't know if you've got those, but moving on to the next team, I've got the Houston Texans. This is Kemner's team. I felt like for him, he really reached on CJ Anderson, and weeks 5 and 8 are going to be really tough because of his bye weeks. But for him, the biggest disclaimer and the most important thing is that he selected Ezekiel Elliott, and we're not going to really know how good his team is until Elliott comes back to play. This could be a team that comes out at the end of the season and ends up going on a tear and winning the whole thing. He just needs to stay relevant throughout the early parts of the season. His strength is definitely Jordy Nelson. He's a stud at the wide receiver one slot. Moving on to Cook. This is the strongest team I have in our division. He's got the Indianapolis Colts. He's got really strong receivers with Mike Evans and T.Y. Hilton. He has Christian McCaffrey at his running back 2 spot, and that's definitely going to be a boom or bust position. That's a very talented player, but he's going to have Jonathan Stewart, who's going to have to compete with. He's really struggling with his RB1 spot. Mike Gillislee is barely even practicing right now. The Patriots are not normally going to run one guy. It was pretty unique to see Blunt get 18 touchdowns last year. I think with the pass catching backs that they've got and the fact that Edelman went down, you're going to see a lot of targets going to a Dion Lewis, a James White, and potentially even Rex Burkhead, who's played in the slot for the Bengals in the past. So I really think that Mike Gillislee is at best a running back 3, based on his inconsistency week in and week out. So for him to be your number 1 guy, it's going to be rough. I do have him as the strongest team out overall, though, due to the fact that he has the most depth and balance. He has Jarvis Landry, Stephon Diggs, Frank Gore, all sitting there as guys that can run into the flex spot or fill in for one of his starters if they don't produce. And he's got Corey Davis and Kevin White as great keepers going forward. So I think he did a great job in the draft. I give him an A. The only mistake he made was trusting Mike Gillislee at the running back position. And heck, maybe that ends up being false, and he ends up being a beast. We'll see.
Yeah, he's
Um,
definitely going to benefit a lot from that Kevin White after Cameron Meredith went down.
oh
Uh,
yeah, that injury. Whew.
Yeah, that was pretty lucky. On top of that, I have to add that now I know you trash talk the New England backfield, and while I would tend to agree with you, they do have the easiest schedule of any running team in the NFL. So
Wow, I didn't know that.
I would say that Yeah, it's not. It's always a bad situation whenever there's a running back by committee in New England, but this could be the year. You never know. You never know. They've had good running backs in the past. They've had good running production, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, my biggest fault with him is that he's going to be inconsistent. There's just going to be weeks that he puts up monster numbers and weeks he puts up nothing, and how you figure that out is always tough. So um, we'll see what he ends up at the end of the year. Definitely a scary team that Cook has put together.
Right.
I
Right.
have him as I think my second best. Nope, I've got him at the top of the league as a whole, but he's the best that I've got in the division. But yeah, I ranked him pretty well overall. Last guy in my division, boy, am I happy to see this guy in my division. I've got Shy with the Tennessee Titans. And yes, he's got OBJ and Des Bryant as wide receivers. And he's got Ty Montgomery and Carlos Hyde running the ball. Great. 4 good picks. After that, he's got old man Delaney Walker, who at some point is going to fall off. He's got Dak Prescott throwing the ball, who doesn't have Ezekiel Elliott taking some pressure off this year. And then the rest of his running backs are in really terrible situations. Ware is dead for the year. LeGarrette Blunt's being used inappropriately. Thomas Rawls has a bad ankle and he's in an RBBC. And that's all he's got. There's no depth here, and the flex position's really struggling. The injuries, I'll let you go ahead and give your thoughts on what you think what he can do here, but the injuries really hurt him over the weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Over the weekend with Kansas City and Chicago, I couldn't help but feel bad for Shy. He's definitely got some nice pieces. I think that if the guys he drafted in what I'm guessing are the third and fourth rounds, Carlos Hyde and Ty Montgomery, if they show up, he can definitely look forward to some good production. But the Cowboys have a tough throwing schedule, I think. I think we'll see a bit of a sophomore slump for Dak and the rest of the gang. Uh, Eifert is a boomer bust player. He's already talking tendonitis. I don't know if you saw that.
Right.
They held him out of the
Touchdown
preseason game.
dependent.
Definitely,
So
definitely. But I do see areas where things could happen. I mean, Corey Coleman is a highly touted wide receiver. Thomas Rawls could be the guy in Seattle. There's definitely hope there. And from a keeper aspect, I just have to say that I think there's a lot too with Dak, with Rawls and Ware and Meredith. Well, the guys are hurt. Maybe they don't stay on your bench the whole year, but
right.
these are definitely guys that could be worth a look going forward.
Yeah, all hope isn't lost. He does have, like you said, good players that he can rely on. It's just going to be really tough, I think, to manage the team. It's going to require a lot of work throughout the season to stay afloat with those unlucky injuries right there. But yeah, things always change during the season. So to recap, I've got Cook as the strongest team in my division. I think Kemner and I are both very equal, but I put myself ahead of him as a homer pick, and then I've got Shy at the rear. And overall, I have us as a very odd division with each team has a few holes that could rear their head and cause problems for us, and we'll see what happens. So we'll go to your division, see what you got there.
Yeah, sure, sounds good. Let's start off with my buddy Garinger, Kansas
Oh
City
boy.
Chiefs. Where are they at? They're there. All right. So for Garinger, I gave him a draft rating of C plus. I don't know if
Okay.
you saw the Fantasy Pros or not. He was rated pretty poorly, um, but that aside, I think that he definitely has some really good players, and I think that there's a good potential um, for good things this year. His divisional rating, I have him in last in the division, and the league rating was 11th. That's Fantasy Pros. However, I
Okay.
did give him a keeper rating of A minus.
Okay.
Um, I think that, of course, Joe Mixon. I mean, if he pans out, that's going to be tremendous value. I believe he got him in the third or the fourth.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Yeah,
And with Hill's ankle, you don't know what's gonna happen there.
right. And he has Hill.
Hmm.
I think initially I would probably start Hill. I think that Mixon just hasn't shown it in the preseason yet. He's definitely shown some athleticism, but it seems like Hill's still going to be the one with the touches and the touchdowns. So um, aside from that, I'd say Keenan Allen, Kelvin Benjamin, Jay Ajayi. I think Jay Ajayi's in for a really good season. I was mad that I didn't get him in the draft. I thought that he was available, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But yeah, good team. What do you have to add for this one?
I think that he's a little bit wider, dependent on the Chargers with Phillip Rivers and Keenan Allen. He really needs Keenan Allen to turn out for him. And Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback if you can run two or potentially stream quarterbacks and play him at his good weeks. But there's just going to be weeks where he's just not very productive. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. But overall, good team. Got strong receivers. Got a Jay Ajayi there. And I can see this team panning out if he makes good mid-season adjustments.
Right. I did want to say that A.J. Green and the Seahawks D are the strengths of this team. Middle of the road, just good players. Keenan Allen, Jay Ajayi, Joe Mixon, Adam Vinatieri, all good. He does have some of the lower rated benches, and obviously I think Jack Doyle was a terrible pick. Phillip Rivers and Kelvin Benjamin are all rated a little low for their starting positions. But I definitely think that they've proven themselves in the past, and they can definitely get there again.
Yeah, I can buy off on that.
All right. Next, I have Old Poorman.
Oh, boy.
The Los Angeles Chargers, LAC.
He doesn't even have a Charger on his team. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. What a scumbag.
Mm-hmm.
Staff sergeant scumbag. All right. Fantasy Pros gave him one of the better ratings. I gave him a B+. I think that he did pretty well considering. His team is actually one of the scarier in the division. I gave him second.
Okay.
Fantasy Pros gave him fourth overall, and he has a keeper rating. That's of course my personal little spin on it of B+, simply because of Tim Tebow.
Ooh. Does he get points for Tebow's batting average somehow in this, or is he just football production?
I would love to find a way to make it work. Not like if we can get a fantasy point for like every time he goes to church, or
Yes, helps an old lady across the street. Absolutely, we can find a way.
Yeah, we'll make it work. We'll get you some points for that bench. Aside from that, the pieces that are particularly strong in this, Le'Veon Bell, of course, second overall in the league. Leonard Fournette, he's ranked at running back 10, and he is your second running back. That's better than most people's first running back, or some people's first running back. So that's pretty good. Got a good kicker, and you have one of the higher rated benches in the league. They gave you second overall, and heading that up is Paul Perkins, who I know you're not a fan of Osborne, but
right.
He is highly rated with the starting job. He's young. I mean, he could be great.
Yeah, I can see it. Since you are an LSU fan, can you add to the Leonard Fournette being at 10? Because that seems a little high. He's got a nagging foot injury. Blake Bortles is playing quarterback for the Jaguars, and they are lost on offense.
Well, that's one way to look at it. As an LSU fan, I don't take it that way. I think it's more of a chance for opportunity.
Okay.
Leonard Fournette practiced for the first time this week.
Right.
He's back in practice, full contact. He's doing better. He's 100% for week 1, I think, unless anything happens between now and then. And he's the greatest that's ever come. He's gonna make us proud. So.
Okay. So you expect better than RB10 numbers then?
Well, no. Our RB10's a stretch for a rookie running back that has had lingering foot injuries on the Jaguars. But I do think that he will be a good running back too. I think that you are safe having him as your running back too, especially with Le'Veon Bell taking the lead on that. So that being said, let me get to the rest of your team. The Vikings D and Sammy Watkins and Kyle Rudolph are all middle of the pack for your position. I think that they're good. They're solid. Sammy Watkins, I'm not so sure about. We'll see who throws him the ball.
He can throw him to himself, right? That's possible.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they like put him in a running back. Or, oh, they got Curly. I don't know.
Yeah.
They'll figure something out. He's a
Right.
great
Right.
talent. Great
Oh yeah.
Great Clemson player.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
So moving on, Cam Newton, DeAndre Hopkins, Golden Tate are all weak at what they're doing. Cam Newton, he is the ninth strongest starting quarterback in the league. DeAndre Hopkins is the ninth strongest starting uh, wide receiver one in the league, and Golden Tate is the ninth strongest flex in the league. So ninth is not bad. Ninth is better than 12. So
Yes, it is.
that's very close to the middle of the pack on all fronts. So I have to give you that, and I think I don't know about Houston. Savage had a terrible preseason game last night, a couple nights ago, like really bad.
I know.
Uh,
He is gonna if he has to watch his players play this year, it's gonna give his eyeballs cancer. He's gotta watch Hopkins quarterback, Watkins quarterback, and Fournette's quarterback all year if he wants to watch them play. Like,
yeah, I
whoa.
mean, you definitely pick some situations, but we'll see how it
Yeah.
plays off going forward. I think you're in a good position. You may even beat me to win the division. I don't know. We'll see. I'm the champ. You know what I mean?
Whew.
You see the treasure
That's
chest on
bold.
there.
That's
Woo!
bold.
All right, moving on. I believe I have Daltron next. There we go. All right, Dalton, no defense. What a scrub. Dalton, Fantasy Pros rated you seventh overall. I gave you a B minus. I think your team's probably a little stronger than that. Divisionally, I gave you third simply because of the rating. I do think, however, there is a potential that he could possibly take the wild spot in the playoffs or win the division. Um, as far as a keeper rating go, I gave him a B minus. He drafted some pretty old dudes. Larry
Yeah.
Fitzgerald, Matt Forte, Adrian Peterson, Jeremy Maclin, Cole Beasley. Not exactly the young guns you look for in a keeper league, but maybe Todd Gurley pans out. Maybe Russell Wilson pans out. Um, and maybe you make it easy on the waivers in the free agency.
Right.
Uh, but as far as what is really strong about your team is Travis Kelsey, half PPR. He's a PPR beast. He's going to be great. I think that he has a chance to be the number one tight end this season. Dan Bailey.
No chance. No chance.
Yeah, whatever. Dan Bailey is a good kicker. Russell Wilson is a great quarterback, and Todd Gurley is a tremendous running back too.
Yeah, that is very true.
Now, there's one player that I think you would put as a tremendous running back one, but Fantasy Pros ranks him as running back 5, which makes him middle of the pack. That's Devontae Freeman.
We'll see where he is at the end of the season.
Right. He's definitely got a talented guy behind him, but man, that team can score some points. Unfortunately, only in the first half, right?
I have no problem with when they score their points whatsoever.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
All right. I understand AP is on your bench right now, but yeah. You have the sixth strongest bench in the league. Adrian Peterson is leading up your bench. He's probably the strongest player you have on your bench. But yeah, sixth strongest, pretty good, middle of the pack. But overall, pretty solid. You got some veteran guys on there. I think guys that are going to be a little more consistent. So I think that you have a chance to possibly get some really good value out of one of those guys. As far as what's weak about your team, your wide receivers are ranked 10 and 12 at their position. So obviously you have some ground to gain there. Your flex, Martavius Bryant, is considered the ninth strongest flex in the league. That's about middle of the road, but I don't know. I think Martavius Bryant could have a really big season. I think. What do you think?
I totally agree with you. I think he could be potentially a high wide receiver 2 at the end of the year, like falling somewhere in the 10 to 15 range is probably his ceiling. most likely he'll fall around that 18 to 20 range. I think he's definitely going to fall in that wide receiver 2 spot. Is he suspended for the season still, though?
It shows that, but no, actually, I think it went away. Did they?
Okay,
They
because I
call it?
thought he was.
Having finally received his non-provisional preseason reinstatement, he now awaits
So that's
clearance to take participant as the yeah. So he's still waiting.
okay.
He's still
That's my
waiting.
only concern. What happens if the league decides to be an asshole and just drags this out?
I don't know.
He'll still be great. He'll still be great when he comes back to play, though. That guy's a monster.
He is a
They score
monster.
a touchdown more per game when he plays, and they're a very high-powered offense. Good things will happen if he's on your team.
Right. One. Well, I'm sorry. I have my notes. I forgot to say some things. Gehringer has a very heavy Cincinnati and L.A. Chargers team. So let me just flick back to him real quick so I can refresh my memories here.
While you're doing that, you did remind me of something I meant to mention about Shy's team. This will make you really happy, Shy. If you go ahead and look at your schedule this year, you'll notice that you have 2 quarterbacks on your roster, and they have the same bye week. Good job.
Uh, anyway, so Keenan Allen and Philip Rivers are on the same team. Joe Mixon, A.J. Green, and Jeremy Hill all on the same team. So
Yeah.
those bye weeks are going to be a little tough. But aside from that, that was my only concern as far as overall team building goes. Ryan Foreman, only thing I have for you is you have 2 wide receivers on bye week, week 7. I believe it's, I want to say Hopkins and Tate, and maybe Watkins and Tate. I know Tate's one of them. Interesting thing about week 7, boys and girls. Weeks 1, 4, and 7 are your divisional games to start off the season, which means we're going to be right into it. Week 7 is the only one where you potentially had a bye week. It was unavoidable this year. I did my best, but I think there are only 2 teams with bye weeks in week 7, and I think Ryan Foreman picked from both of them. So that's that. I didn't really have any notes on Dalton. So yeah, let's get to my team.
Are you excited about your team?
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about that. The 30-minute or the 30-second timer kind of got me.
No kidding.
Second round, I thought Jay Ajayi was there. He was not. I panic picked Brandon Cooks. I didn't realize Amari Cooper was there. Otherwise, I probably would have taken Amari Cooper. But I'm happy with what I got. I think getting McCoy at the 7th pick in the first was lucky. And I think getting Doug Baldwin in the 3rd was lucky. I think I got really lucky there. And I think I got Drew Brees in like the 6th. So
Yeah, you did. I have him listed as the biggest steal of the draft.
Wow. So yeah, I made that mistake in round 2. Fantasy Pros gave me a 3rd overall draft ranking, which makes me first in my division. If I actually finish there, we'll see. I think a lot of it's going to depend on Doug Martin. Because when you look at my team, I have some good starters, plus or minus Mark Ingram. But my flex is lacking. I need to figure something out. I need to get something somewhere. So, I don't know.
I really don't want to hear it from you. You have 2 running backs that can both qualify as at least RB1 or RB2s. You've got Doug Martin, who will at least be an RB2 when he comes back. And then you've got solid floor guys with like Procise, Thompson. Those guys will be solid for you. Plus, you've got the keeper upside of OJ Howard. I saw that sneaky pickup that you grabbed there on free agency. That was pretty smart. And you've got Mike Williams. Overall, you got a wide receiver from the best offense in football. It's pretty stout. You're not trotting Amir Abdullah out and praying to God he doesn't get hurt because you literally don't have a 3rd running back. So I think you're doing okay.
And I don't know if you know or not, but Mike Williams has some pretty big hands.
Does he? I heard he has the 2nd biggest hands. You've touted that he has the largest hands in the draft, but is that true?
You know what they say about guys with big hands?
What do they say?
They catch footballs really well.
And we're playing fantasy football,
That's
so
right.
that's
That's right.
pretty saucy.
All right. So quarterback Drew Brees, running back one LaShawn McCoy, and Brandon Cooks are all rated as strong. Middle of the pack, I have Cardinals D, Doug Baldwin, Mark Ingram, Doug Martin, and the rest of my bench. And my weaker spots are Zach Ertz, Willie Snead, and my kicker because I have none. Uh, oh man, Willie Snead in the slot. I don't know. I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm gonna let you jump over to your third division coverage, and then I'll do a
All
little
right,
bit of draft analysis with the Fantasy Pros app.
sounds good. Let's go ahead and start off with the Philadelphia Eagles for Dave Henshaw.
You got it.
So the first thing I have of note for him is that he drafted a balanced and safe team. He's got strengths with Antonio Brown, Greg Olsen, and Isaiah Crowell. Having Isaiah as your second running back is pretty good. You're not really hurting there. And then he's got a guy, middle of the pack, he's got Lamar Miller as his RB1. Not the strongest, but definitely a dude with a solid floor. And he's got Tevin Coleman on his bench. If Devonta Freeman goes down, that's going to be amazing. He's got a prior Florida State standout at kicker, Graham Gano, so he's doing great there. And then his weakest spot of flex position with Devontae Parker, Devontae Parker probably sitting in that spot, has a lot of upside. So that could work out really well for him. Overall, I think he's going to do well this year. I have him as second in his division. I think he's just going to plod along at a pretty steady pace all year with consistent point production, but I don't see a whole lot of upside or burst weeks coming from him. What do you think?
Just looking across the roster here, some standouts to me are Devontae Parker and Devontae Adams. The Devontaes.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what to make of them. I've heard they can be really good. I've heard they can be really bad. Some people are super hyped on Reddit. We'll see.
Yeah, his wide receiver 2 and 3 spot is definitely his weakest spot.
Yeah. I have to say, you drafted two running backs that I just hate. I just hate them. The Crow is a real piece of shit. I gotta say it. And Lamar Miller, I had him in a couple leagues last year, I believe, and he was just a tremendous letdown. And I don't think that the Texans have done anything to make that any better. So I do wish you
Deshaun
all.
Watson, no.
No, that doesn't help. I do wish you all the best, but I do think your running backs are going to hold you back. That's
I
all
think
have to
it's
say about that.
a little harsh, but fair. Isaiah Crowell hatred, that doesn't come from where he went to college, does it?
Alabama State? Are you kidding me?
Wasn't he a Georgia guy at first?
He was until he got arrested on them
Okay.
gun charges where he filed off the serial numbers.
Okay, so high character player right there.
What an outstanding citizen. Real 2 Chainz
yeah.
men.
Oh yes. We'll go to Gauntz's team next. The Cowboys. This is one of my favorite teams in the entire draft. Not because it's any good. I mean, it's awful. But boy, has he been watching Hard Knocks. Look at this. we have so many Buccaneers players. I love it. This is going to be a fun team to follow.
Oh,
so, really a fan of this draft right here. He does have his strengths. He's got a really good running back at the top with DeMarco Murray and another one with Jordan Howard. So, your RB1, RB2 situation's great. Your quarterback, also excellent. He's probably going to finish the year as the number 1 QB by a lot. He's consistently done very well. I know he's one of your draft favorites, McKay, so probably bummed to see him go to someone else this year.
Yeah, I do love Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. But after that, now that we've got the good out of the way, your wide receiver 1 is Alshon Jeffrey. I think he could surprise folks, maybe outperform his draft position. But that needs to be your wide receiver 2 if you really are looking to compete, or you need your other wide receiver to be just as solid as Alshon. And Deshaun Jackson is exciting. He's fun to watch on Hard Knocks. He's entertaining, but doesn't matter how entertaining he is. His ratings on TV don't translate to the football field. So I think he's probably the weakest wide receiver 2 we have in the league. Great pick with Jonathan Stewart. Christian McCaffrey is amazing talent, but the Panthers have shown they'll ride their guy, and they like Jonathan Stewart. So I see him getting a majority of the carries around the goal line. So he could have some nice touchdowns. I'd like to say the Patriots are a great defense because they're a great team, but I think they're going to have a lot of points. They've got 3 defensive ends on the roster right now. That's it, 3. So we'll see what happens with them. And then, yeah, I like Danny Woodhead. Looking at your bench, Danny Woodhead's going to be just a solid guy. He, if he stays healthy this year, Baltimore loves to throw to the running back, and I think he's going to end up shining for you. So overall, interesting team. Definitely going to be a lot of fun, and you'll be rewatching Hard Knocks all season just to stay entertained. So good luck to you, though. I know Jameis Winston's going to be entertaining at least. What do you think, McKay?
Man, I've never seen so many Tampa Buccaneer players. I feel like I'm looking at Henshaw's fantasy. Holy moly! These first 3 are really good. You got 3 really good players. You should be really proud. After that, like Jonathan Stewart and Danny Woodhead are all I'm seeing. I throw that Randall Cobb up there in the wide receiver position.
That's probably a good point. Hope he returns to 2014 glory.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers throws the ball around. He can get some points.
Yeah. It's an entertaining team, to say the least.
No doubt.
Let's go to Fogarty. The Giants.
Yep.
All right, so this is probably the best draft I've seen Fogarty put out in 5 years. Really impressed with his work here. His foresight to let the computer pick for him really worked out well. Melvin Gordon would be solid. Good value pick where he got him. Justin Tucker is a great kicker, so that's a strength of his team. You always want your kicker to be a superb player. Jordan Reed probably has a chance to be the #1 tight end if he can stay healthy. I think he outperforms Gronk on a per-game basis when he is healthy, so that's a really good point there. Then he's got Marshawn Lynch as his RB2. I don't know what to make of that. What do you think is going to happen with Marshawn this year?
From what I've heard and what I've read, I think he's going to come out strong due to all that time off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not so sure that as old as he is, he's going to hold up all season.
Okay.
So I'd look for a strong beginning to him and then maybe try and trade him off. But if not, I mean, maybe it's just nothing because he's super old.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It looks like Fogarty has DeAndre Washington on his roster, though, so that was a good pickup when he dropped Julian Edelman. I'm surprised he didn't hold on to Edelman to move him into his IR. But, he's got the 2 running backs for Oakland, and that should pan out ultimately.
I think that was a smart pickup. Really good pickup.
Yes. Yep, I agree with that. Bilal Powell, I think, is going to be a great flex player. I couldn't pick him. I had to go with Amir Abdullah when it was my spot on the draft, simply because he's a Jets player. But when you look at it objectively, I think he's going to be very, very good. And the news that Forte is on the trade block is only further securing that Bilal Powell's going to see the ball a lot. Yeah. Christian Hackenberg can't hit the ground with a football pass, so they pretty much have to hand it off. And Bilal Powell will be the beneficiary of that. Michael Thomas, I'll let you take this one because I'm not as high on Michael Thomas as others, and you're, much more tuned into the Saints organization than I am. So where do you put him as far as RB or wide receiver ones are concerned?
Well, I think I kind of talked about it. Maybe it was the pre-draft, or maybe it was the draft we did.
Yeah.
But, Michael Thomas is he had tremendous numbers with not that many targets last year. He didn't get the lion's share of the work like most other guys, and he made a wide receiver 1 season out of it. I think that he will improve. And I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say he'll do better than last year, but with Cooks out, I mean, there's a chance he'll probably do better. I mean, he's not a Cooks type guy. He's taller. He's more of a go up and get it type guy, kind of like Colston or maybe like Randy Moss-esque. I don't know. But yeah, I think that he's going to have a really good year.
Okay. Well, if that turns out to be true, he could be looking at second in his division. As of right now, I have him as a nice floor, but I don't see him being the wide receiver 1 everyone projects him to be. So I put him as 3rd in the division. But if he does pan out, I think this team could be doing well with him. I didn't mention Gaunce's rating, but I have him as fourth in their division. And this leaves Pippen on the board.
Here,
Um,
I want to add one more thing.
okay.
Fogarty could not have drafted this team himself. This team is
No.
too good.
Oh God, no.
Jamal Charles, DeAndre Washington, John Brown, Adam Thielen, like all these guys are it's an awesome bench.
Yeah, and look where he got. Look where he got Luck. He would have never picked Luck.
Yeah, like Luck. Are you fucking kidding me? That's gonna be the keeper steal of the draft.
Yes,
Luck.
it is.
Oh, I am. I've been thinking about it, and I'm very frustrated by the series of events.
I was counting on Fogarty to be an awful drafter
Yeah,
for my draft success this year, and the computer doing such a good job for him, it really kills me.
yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. I would have done better had the Fogarty been there.
Yes.
But whatever. We'll move on.
Yeah, yeah. You can only reminisce over the past days when Fogarty was too dumb to let the computer pick for him.
Oh man.
Yeah, if he wins this year, he's gonna let the PC pick every year. Ugh.
Yeah. PC principal.
Oh yes.
All right. It's Oakland or the Washington Redskins.
All right. This is what I have as the number one team in the league. I've got him at the number one draft in the league, and I get the
Wow.
number one keeper rating in the league.
Wow.
Overall, I think this is the hands down best team. Julio Jones and Amari Cooper, outstanding wide receiver core. Denver Broncos, the only defense that I could even possibly consider putting as strong. They feast on bad teams, and there are some bad teams they're playing this year. Quarterback with Tom Brady, obviously he's not going to be great as a keeper, but he's poised to put out a great season this year. And then, Jesus, did he hit a home run with Kareem Hunt. So you've got Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook. This is what's going to make this team run. If they live up to expectations, this is the best team. If they are all preseason hype and they actually can't perform, then this is just another middle of the pack team. But I have faith that Dalvin Cook is going to do well, and I have faith that Kareem Hunt's going to get run into the ground and put up a ton of points. So this team, there really isn't anything bad to say about it. Maybe you could say the flex spot, when once McFadden and Jaquiz Rogers fall off, the flex might be a little weak. But you have a long time to figure that out with Zeke being out for 6 games. So overall, stellar draft. Really worked out well for him that Hunt's going to be the starter, and not a whole lot of negative things I can say about this team.
Yeah, Pippen did a really good job. Put together a really good team. So frustrating with the Hunt thing. Such a steal.
Yeah.
Took Dalvin Cook pretty aggressively, but I think it's probably going to pay off. I think that he has the most potential because he doesn't really have much competition, and I think he will be starting immediately. So.
Yeah. What do you think of the fact that his tight ends have the same bye week? Like I have the same bye week for my tight ends, but they're week 9, so I'm not too worried about it. I expect to move one by then. His are a little earlier, but his team's so strong. I think he's poised to make a move.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Tight end is not a position that I think even matters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jimmy Graham and Jason Witten, they're good tight ends. If he could trade Witten for something, some decent bench player.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree. I agree. So overall, I just only good things to say about this team in this draft.
Yeah, he definitely did a really good job. And Amari Cooper should be mine. I'm just saying.
Oh man.
All right. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, I dream that I'll get Amari Cooper in one of my other leagues. I am so high on him this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well, what does Fantasy Pros have to say about all this? How close are we to being accurate here?
Right. So, Fantasy Pros, if you go to the Draft Wizard and the Draft Analyzer, this is what you will see.
Okay.
Not advocating for anyone to purchase it. I don't want you to be good at fantasy football, but this is pretty much just what it says about how we did.
Okay.
You can see I'm up here at 3. You're up here at 1. Here are the Eagles and the Redskins, the Chargers. All these I think are really good teams. Hinshaw's balance, I think, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
As far as benches go, you can see it sorts them out. So I think they're some of the same teams at the top. So,
yeah. Looks like the same 5 when you look at overall starters and bench are all pretty close to the same spot.
Yeah. Yeah, my bench is pretty shitty, but if Doug Martin works out, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. draft analysis. This is a cool tab. So yeah, let me do these. Yeah, yeah. And it's not working like I want it to. Okay, that's fine. Anyway.
Oh boy, you're having some fun over there.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it to where it wasn't in 5 columns and one off the side, but I guess their formatting is a little off. All right, so this is organized by teams. You can see right here, the highlighted is the steals. So these are players that you got 2 rounds ahead of where they were projected. You can see that most of them are pretty late. It seems like round 10 is the earliest you got any steals, and most of them are I don't want to say bad players, but they're people who are contested. Kevin White was a great one down here in the 14th by the Colts. Obviously the Giants. Son of a bitch. He got Jamal Charles in the 15th. I'm so mad. Ah! All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Computer would have never done, or Fogarty would have never done that. That's a computer pick.
I know. All right. Value picks. These are picks considered 1 round ahead of their ADP. You can see that the earliest we have here is the 5th with Devontae Adams, so that was clearly a pretty good pick. Tyrod Taylor, you can see here the Raiders. He might have been used in Fantasy Pros. I mean, look at all these picks that they projected ahead of their time. But you can see that I was definitely using it around 6 through 9. After that, I kind of just went with my gut, and I don't have much to say. I'm not too proud of my last 5 picks. Okay, so here we are with slight reaches. Don't take it personally. This is just what they feel like you reached a little too hard on. I will say that running backs went hard early.
Boy, did they.
And you can see here, I know you said it started with me with Doug Martin, but if you look here in the 3rd, Christian McCaffrey, C.J. Anderson, Joe Mixon all went ahead of their ADP round. So I think that's what started. But
I can see that, yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to have too much of these red marks on your team. It means you reached a little more than you should have. I did quite a bit of reaching. But here are the real reaches, the ones that are 2 rounds ahead of where you should have taken them. Excuse me. I can see that you went hard on Perrine and Hogan.
Yep.
I think that Hogan will pay off. Perrine, at first I thought it was a really good pick, but now I'm starting to debate it.
Yeah, it was a desperation pick. I mean, you highlighted with the last screen that a lot of running backs went early, and by the time it got to my pick at the very last, one in the 6th round.
Yeah. David Johnson and Amir Abdullah is not the dynamic duo you're looking for. You got half of it.
Right. So trying to find somebody. I'm looking for a diamond in the rough there.
I think Smallwood might pan out. We'll see.
Maybe.
So some of the teams that reached a little more: Kansas City Chiefs, Texans, Redskins.
Didn't the Texans have a lot of strong reaches as well?
Yeah, I think Theo Riddick is a fine pick.
Yeah.
Shane Vereen, I'm not so sure about. The Giants D in the 13th. I don't know. I always pick him last, but I think overall the Texans. I didn't get a chance to say anything about them, but
sorry, I was talking a lot.
Oh yeah, no worries. But I think that you made some pretty good picks, Kimner. Jordy Nelson, C.J. Anderson, Michael Crabtree, Emmanuel Sanders. These are all really, really safe guys. So I think that as long as you can find someone to make up for Elliott, weeks 1 through 6, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how that situation pans out. But I think that you can definitely do well. And I think Marcus Mariota is one of the better quarterbacks to have for the young group of guys. So.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Go check your schedules, by the way, after this, and see if you play Kemner week 8 or later. Because if you do, have fun with Elliott. A couple people are getting away with not playing him at all with Elliott on the roster.
Yeah, it's pretty lucky.
Yeah.
All right. So team analysis. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. If you were to get the tool, you can see where your players rank as far as quarterbacks, running back ones, running back twos, wide receiver ones. You can see there's some parity there. Some of them were up, some of them were down with me.
Yep.
But you definitely want to stay above this line, you know. Up here is
Yeah.
definitely best. But final draft board, we don't need to see that. Team rosters, we don't need to see that. And then improve my team, we'll just take you to your dashboard. So that being said, I think it was a good draft. It was a great time. I'm going to put in the rules next year, proposing maybe moving to 60 seconds per pick.
Yes, absolutely.
If we want to, halfway through, I can add more time or shorten more time, but I think 60 seconds is probably a little better. Most of the time, you know who you want, but it's nice to have that time when you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're picking, especially at the top, if you're picking at the turns, I think it's a little bit harder to know who's going to be available. You could be looking for somebody there, and if it doesn't work out that way, you're scrambling with just a few seconds left to find a player. It's tough.
Right. So that being said, this has been running for 45 minutes now. I think it's about time to call it.
Yeah, I think so.
Any closing remarks?
No, I would just say that if I was going to rank the divisions, I would rank them your division first, and then I'd go NFC East second, and I think that my division wraps up as the worst division.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that we have some divisions that are very close top to bottom, and I think we have some divisions that are very top heavy. So we'll see what happens. I've been doing some reading lately on the fantasy football subreddit about divisions and what people think of them. Some people think that fantasy football should be the best teams make the playoffs, right? Most points, most wins. But I prefer shit talking, and I prefer rivalries and competition, and I prefer planning on beating someone a certain week. And I think that's what I like about football or fantasy football. So that's just my 2 cents about it.
I can get behind it.
Yeah.
I think everyone in the league enjoys our current dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's working well, and I think that while we're gonna have some growing pains with this new system, I think that ultimately it's gonna add a new dynamic and make it really interesting. I'm excited for keeper. I think that although I did not get any of the rookie running backs I wanted, that I think that it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a good season. Good luck to everybody. I hope y'all are as excited about your draft as I know McKay and I are about ours. And you know that I'm always willing to trade since I've got the platform. Hit me up anytime. I'll always look to improve my roster. So see you guys. What's that?
He will trade. Trust me.
I will trade. Yes.
Everyone probably has 3 offers in their inbox right now. So
I have resisted. Actually, if you look, I put it in the trade block. I did not put an actual trade offer out there. I'm using the trade block this year so that people don't get blown up with trade offers. So it's out there. You can check it out. But hey, good luck to everyone. See y'all next week. Go Florida State. Hopefully we can take down those Bama bastards.
Go LSU.
Fuck you.
All right.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right. Bye, guys.